So thou, O son of man, I have set thee a watchman unto the house of Israel. Therefore, thou shalt hear the word of my mouth, and warn them from me.
Have no fellowship with the unfruitful works of darkness, but rather expose them.
Coming to you from an undisclosed location in Middle Tennessee and examining current events from a biblical perspective, this is Bible News Radio with your hosts, Randall and Stacy Harp.
Hey everybody. Yeah, it is me, Stacy Lynn Harp, your sweet and lovable host. Yeah, it is. And I just want to say thank you for joining us for today's edition of Bible News Radio. Yeah, I do. You know why? Because today we have an awesome young woman. Yeah, we do. We have a millennial. One of those on the Just kidding. I'm kidding. I'm not kidding about her being a millennial, but you know what it is? When I went to California last week, I actually sat on the airplane next to a couple of millennials on the way out and also on the way back. And one of the things that I was really surprised by is how, you know, millennials get a bad rap. You know? Yeah, they do. And it's really interesting. they do. They get a bad rap. It's irritating. Because you know what? Millennials are cool people, and I have to tell you, I've met more extremely mature millennials than I have some people in my own age group people. Just saying. Some of you even. Just saying. Anyway, so today what we're going to do is we're going to talk about politics with a millennial. Yeah, we are. My guest I met actually on one of these business apps. It's kind of funny how we met. I have this business networking thingy. Anyway, Rosemary came up on it. Yeah, she did. And I was like, hey, I want to meet her. And would you believe she actually wanted to meet me too? Can you believe that? So anyway, we met. We did a video chat. I found out about her. I thought this would be a great guest for Bible News Radio. And not only are you going to learn a lot today, but you're going to have some fun, I hope. I mean, I won't say any names, but you know, some of the older broadcasters, Sonny, they never have any fun. I like to have fun, in case you didn't know that. I mean, listen to this music. Okay, so do me a favor and share this out, if you don't mind, to the 3 people that will get it because our show is spiked everywhere. Just share it. Remember, sharing is caring. And if you're on YouTube, and if you're on Periscope, and if you're on Twitch, then feel free to say hi in the comments so I know you're there. Otherwise, I don't know you're there. Okay? All right, people. So I am going to go ahead and share this out while I'm thinking about it. And we will share this out all as well. Melanie, my #1 super fan and right-hand person, is my social media sharer in our Facebook group. So I know Melanie will share the show out there as well. So if you happen to be in our Facebook group and you're watching this live too, make sure you leave a comment. Whether you're on the live broadcast or the replay is super duper ooper important. I just made that last word up. Ooper. Anyway, okay, so let me tell you who my guest is. My guest is Rosemary Dewar. Yeah, she is. Rosemary, she is so beautiful, first of all. I have to tell you, she is Messianic Jewish believer. Yeah, she loves Israel, which I do too. One of the things we bonded over. She is a political commentator by day. Well, actually, kind of by night, sort of. But she actually works a day job. Aside from being a political commentator, she has her columns over on Washington Examiner and some other things. And I also have to tell you, she recently went to APAC, which is this political convention. And she actually ran into somebody super famous in the political world. I'm going to let her tell you who it is and all that. So I don't want to drag this out. So Rosemary, welcome to our show for the first time. Glad you're here.
Thank you so much for having me. This is amazing.
I know, isn't it? I get to sit next to youth and greatness.
Yeah.
Oh. Hey, by the way, I forgot to tell you, I have to look up over here, so I can't look down here, just so you know, because, you know, that's how it goes. That goes. Okay. All right. So so tell everybody a little bit about your background. You know, I want people to get to know you, because I think that there is a stereotype with millennials that kind of bugs me, actually, and you can probably speak to it more than other people. And by the way, she's in her early 30s. She doesn't have to tell you the exact age, but you know, only if you want. So go ahead.
But I am, so my name is Rosemary Dewar. I do a little bit of political commentating and even some movie reviews with some friends. And yeah, my generation gets a terrible rap. But I feel like only the loudest ones get all the attention, and they're kind of giving me a bad name. I'm not too happy about it.
I know.
But yeah, it's like regardless of that, I feel like there's more like a quiet majority, not necessarily minority, but a quiet majority that is very independent minded and way more conservative than the and I think it's one of the things that is catapulting generations, and we'll see how we're able to carry a lot of our ideas forward in the future.
Okay, so some of that cut out, but I think I got most of it. So, okay, let's back up just for a minute. So, let's start with the issue. Okay, can you tell us what the age group is for millennials? That way, because some people don't know, and I figured since you are one, you should know.
It's like millennials start, I think, in like either 1982 or 1984, and then it's 15 years forward from there. So that's kind of like our age bracket.
Yeah.
And
uh-oh. Is she frozen for everybody or just me?
I think everyone.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, in the meantime, I think we lost her.
Yeah, I think so too.
Don't worry, she'll come back. Oh wait, are you back? What happened? Are you there?
It looks like I'm back.
You're back. Yeah, it's the internet. Whatever. You know, we're like a multi-million-dollar production. Not. Okay, get back here on screen. Bareface. Yeah, don't worry. Bareface is gonna bring her back.
Yeah,
all right.
We got it.
Okay, there's Rosemary. She's back. Okay, so millennials were born in the 80s, the early 80s, right? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And so you're in your early 30s. So we'll just say if you were my child, you are a millennial, basically. Which makes me feel slightly old. Thanks a lot. No. Just kidding. Okay. Well, you could be the granddaughter of some of my audience, because some of my audience is super old. I won't name names, just so you know. But, okay, anyway. Okay, so there is this weird stereotype with millennials being lazy, kind of like they're liberals, they can't think, you know, stuff like that. And it really bothers me that is kind of the stereotype, because also, you know, I would say that there's been there's been a remnant of believers, a lot of believers actually, who have homeschooled, right, and raised very conservative kids. In fact, I actually have a good friend who's very liberal, and I just found out her son, who is in his early 20s, I don't know if he'd be a millennial, though. But anyway, he's conservative, and I had no idea. I was like, oh my gosh, you rebelled against your family. So why are you conservative? I guess that's a good place to begin.
Well, I was homeschooled for the first 3 years of my elementary education, went to private school after that, and then made my way into public school. But my parents did a really good job of instilling, like, when it came to marrying ethics with biblical truth. And even if they didn't always have the answers, they did allow us to have some sort of freedom to find it out for ourselves, because a lot of the times they didn't always have the answer. And I think that's probably one of the reasons why you see some millennials bounce away, because I think I think, unfortunately, the Christian community tries to have an answer for everything when it's not coherent. And it's like when you just force one opinion so hard without true explanation. Millennials are very sensitive to truth. And I could probably say that that's probably their strongest attribute. They detect BS very easily.
You read my mind. I was thinking BS and you said it. Yeah, you did. Oh, that's funny. Okay. Well, and it's true, right? I mean, we all desire authenticity, at least, supposedly. And I think, well, let me ask you what you think. Do you think social media has a part of that? Do you think being living on computers, being raised in the social media world your whole life, gives you a more sensitivity to the fact that what's real and what's not?
Social media, I think it's two sides of one coin. You have people who put a lot of emphasis on what social media means, how important it is. And then you have people who know that they are a persona on the internet, and they can very easily tell when someone else is a persona instead of who they actually are. I mean, people on Twitter are the worst people. It's like, I'm a pretty rude person on Twitter. It kind of comes with the territory. It's like, but it's like, when it comes to social media, very rarely is there just one person that fits into one category. It's either you know exactly who everyone is, or you try to frame a part of social media as more important than it actually reflecting a demographic. But yeah, I don't know if social media is necessarily the issue. I think it's more of a cultural significance on ethics is why there may be some misperceptions of who people are.
Yeah, I agree. I absolutely agree. Okay, just so everybody knows, if you're new to the show, this is my guest, Rosemary Dewar, and she's a millennial, but she's a political commentary. She's conservative. She's a believer. And, if you guys have any questions, during the show, feel free, to send them my way, preferably on Periscope. That's where most people are, but, I can also look at YouTube, or Bareface can go ahead and let me know if anybody's saying anything over there. Okay. All right, so Rosemary just wrote a brand new article. It's titled The Millennial Mind, and it's over on the Washington Examiner website. I want to make sure I didn't say the Washington Post, because that's the enemy. But it's on the Examiner, and tell me...
So that one particularly is on Athens Now, I think, actually.
Oh, it is? Okay, yeah. Athens Now, Alabama. Okay, so athensnowl.com.
I was going to say, yeah, there's a whole series of articles under that.
Oh, there we go. Okay. All right. So tell us why you decided to write The Millennial Mind.
So the Millennial Mind is a commentary on what millennials think and kind of why some cultural things might give us a perception of things that aren't true. And I try to make parallels between current culture and some historical ethics. It's like pointing to things like Plato or Aristotle or even our founding fathers to try and kind of distill an idea that seems to either be like a central part of thinking or even just like a highlight of what happens to be in the news at the time.
Okay. And so your latest article is called Starve, Mute, and Loathe? Did I say it right? Okay.
Yeah. So over a decade ago, the book / movie Eat, Pray, Love came out,
right,
talking about how you have to have this spiritual journey of consuming so much that you think you have been missing out on in order for you to feel fulfilled, loved, and have a spiritual type of identity. And not that it's not entirely wrong, but I don't think it's properly framed for this particular time and culture. where you are overloaded with sensory. And there's almost no device that doesn't have a screen that you're either listening from or watching from. You're always watching a TV, you're always listening to a podcast, you're always reading a book. And there's not really a well-defined filter for people to kind of take in that information, especially when they don't have an ethical identity already there. And when we're dealing with what we've been seeing over the past decade, and basically it's a leftover from the 60s, where all the major pillars of ethics and belief and social constructs that are healthy, those things are completely taken out of the picture, to the point that a lot of the things that you need have lost meaning. And it's I think it keeps people in a state that they never really figure out who they are, and I think it hurts them in the long run.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, very cool. Well, it is interesting. You mentioned the whole screen thing. I actually don't like to read books on a device. I hate it. In fact, I hate digital books. Just so you know, I really don't like them. I love books. I'm a bibliophile. I have too many books, as Bareface will tell you. When I moved here from California, I literally probably gave away close to almost 1,000 books. No, and I'm not kidding. I have that many. I did. I was a book hoarder. No, actually, it didn't help that I helped promote books. I got all these books for free. But yeah. So let me ask you this. So what about, because of the attachment to technology that your generation has, do you find it a struggle to be in relationships with, do actual FaceTime, real in person, with other people? Is that a struggle for your generation, you think?
Especially where you have a lot of monetary possibilities when it comes to technology now, where you're seeing 14 and 15-year-old girls doing makeup tutorials on Instagram, and they are making money off that. And then you have someone like PewDiePie, who is all he's doing is live streaming him playing video games, and he has over 90 million followers, and he's getting sponsorships and making money. So it almost becomes where anytime you're investing in something, you're expecting an immediate return. And that instant gratification problem is heightened, unfortunately, by it. And there is a needed refocus of what it means to be with someone that you care about, even if it's just one-on-one, and properly investing that time with the person.
Okay, what was the name of that person that you just said that has the 90 million followers?
PewDiePie.
PewDiePie?
PewDiePie, yeah. It's like my generation knows exactly who he is.
I was going to say, I have no clue who he is. Hey, and I'm not embarrassed. At least, I could say, do you know who, Ann B. Davis is?
Yeah. Yeah.
Of course you would. Oh, yeah? Okay, how about...
Well, it's like my parents raised me on the classics. They cared. So.
Okay, what show was it?
Huh?
What show was it?
What? I don't know. I recognize the name, though.
Uh-huh. Okay, so you really don't. Okay, so Ann B. Davis played Alice on the Brady Bunch.
Yeah.
Okay, so how about... Do you know who Mary Tyler Moore is?
Oh, gosh, yes.
Okay. Okay, how about Gavin McLeod?
Gosh, no, actually, I recognize the character name because I see it in memes, but other than that, no.
Okay, Gavin McLeod. He's actually a very very well known believer. Actually, he was known as Captain Steubing on the Love Boat.
That's it.
The Love Boat. Yeah. Anyway. Yep. Anyway. Oh, okay. So it's PewDiePie, but it's D. Oh my gosh, he's got 93 million followers or subscribers, almost 94 million. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
That is insane. And all he does is play games?
All he does is live stream him playing. That's it.
Wow.
Yeah. So I think, but this is what millennials kind of want to be like, and this is part of like the be independent thing. Is that they want their personality and what they think is valuable to them should be valuable to a larger audience, and they want to get paid to be themselves. And it's like that only works for so many people.
Right.
Everyone can't do that. But again, it kind of goes back. It's almost like a halcyon call to like the pioneer spirit. Instead of it being land, it's information, and people and my generation wants it all. They want to know all the things all the time, and it does inhibit their ability to know what's real and what's not, especially when they don't take the time to like discover something, let it settle a little bit, and solidify it in a way that's actually valuable.
Yeah. You know, that's a good point. I have to tell you, the generation gap is real interesting because I graduated from high school in 1986. And it was in the early 80s when computers started just to become like mainstream. And it was right after I graduated that America Online was very popular. And you know, I pretty much grew up on the computer as a young adult myself. But I take care of a 90-year-old dad who's 90, almost 91. And, you know, he'll see me come in with my phone, you know, in the assisted living, and we'll be talking and everything. And he'll be like, you know, this is, you know, I wished I had one of those, you know, basically. And I'm like, no, you don't. If you looked, and if you look at all these people in assisted living, they're like, they feel kind of disconnected from my generation, let alone your generation. And I'm kind of stuck in between this interesting world where I am very tech savvy, and so I'm very connected with your generation, but I'm also fully aware that I hate being connected so much because it's so narcissistic in so many ways, and I hate that, you know.
Yeah.
Okay, so
well, one of the things that I talked about in my latest article is the things that the previous generation experienced 40 years ago is what we're literally paying to do right now. Like we're paying to be in a deprivation tank for an hour and a half, where we're either almost complete darkness or we have ambient music or whatever, and or we're going on like a month detox of a digital detox. I'm like, you know, you could just unhook your Wi-Fi and crack open a book, and you'll get the exact same experience without paying the time. But it's hilarious that there is that gap of experience between generations.
Oh, I know. Just so you guys know too, I do know that it seems to be a little bit of an internet connection over on Periscope. So if you're experiencing that and you can still hear me, just jump out and try to go back in, because sometimes it's just Periscope. And I can tell you, I know for a fact, just so you all know, that Periscope discriminates against our show, Bible News Radio. And the reason I say that, and this is actually a good segue for my freebie I'm going to get to offer here. But a couple of days ago, I was in Southern California with my friend Dr. Jennifer Fee. We put the exact same title on both of our scopes, with the exception of flipping my name, put her name first. And I put, anyway, we used the exact same wording on our scope, and her scope, which happens to have 1,000 fewer followers than me on our scope, got 3 times as many people as Bible News Radio did. So we're being spiked. We're being hidden. We're being hidden on Twitter. We were pretty much hidden on Facebook, which is why I'm not on there anymore, except for our replay and all that. So just so you're aware, if you share the show out, you can share it a few times actually, and if you don't mind posting it on your other social media, that actually helps. But we're being hidden on purpose on social media because we're a Christian show. That's the truth, right? I mean, it's insane. It's insane. But anyway, all that to say, though, I want to share that with you. And also let you know I have a new freebie. If you guys didn't hear about it yesterday, if you struggle with anxiety, worry, or stress, then I want you to go to bit.ly/SLH Peace. and that stands for Stacy Lynn Harp, just so you know, SLH. And the word peace, all lowercase, bit.ly/SLH peace. If you go there, you can download a free PDF I put together of just some scriptures that you can meditate on, because I really do believe that the best way to heal your anxiety, worry, and stress is by meditating on God's word. And I selected these verses because they're verses that I meditate on, and I know from my own time meditating on God's word and having him change my heart and my mind that they work. And so if you want to get that free, you can go ahead and do that as well. All right, so that was for free. Just want to let you know that. Okay, also, Rosemary, I want to talk to you a little bit. Part of the title is we want to talk about the political mind of millennials. Now, I know that you're a libertarian, right?
Conservatarian would probably be the better juxtaposition of that.
Okay.
I hold a lot of very conservative values, but when it comes to government intervention or government interaction, definitely more libertarian. I'm not a huge fan of the government at all.
My husband just went like this, which I think he approves. Is that right, Randall?
Yeah, I think on Facebook I put my political views as constitutarian, like I'm a strict constitutionalist, which limits the powers of federal government. And when it comes to where the rubber hits the road, more libertarian. Yeah, very, very conservative values, but yeah, in terms of governance, libertarian point of view. So.
Okay.
Cool.
All right, so we have that set. Okay, so tell me a little bit about, I know you just went to APAC, which is the American Israeli Action Policy Conference, which is super cool, right? So you went there and you ran into somebody super famous in the political world. Do you want to talk about that?
Yeah, so I randomly decided to visit the Trump Hotel while I was in DC. And while I was hanging out with my friend who accompanied me, I had the honor of bumping into former New York Mayor Rudy Giuliani, and he was just so chill and so cool. And it was the week that Mueller had opened up, had said that the investigation's over and there's no evidence of collusion or obstruction. And Giuliani's just sitting down there with 5 of his friends talking about, the week's events and how Mueller just was a complete failure. And I had the wonderful chance of getting to take a picture with him that night. And the nice little thing that I'll never forget.
I know, it's so cool. I mean, I've never met him, but I can say that, he's not as bad as some other mayors. Anyway, that didn't come out right, but I think you know what I mean. Okay, so what do you think of all the Trump, people who are what's the word? I'm trying to think of the word. Forgive me, I'm still jet lagged, and I am. I'm so. I guess mania. I mean, people hate Trump or they love him, right? I mean, it's like there's no in between.
I feel like particularly with my generation and the next one, there's some definite behavioral issues that they're not happy with when it comes to Trump, particularly when it comes to his past. But for the past 2 years, compared to what he bragged of being, it's like night and day. For me particularly, I didn't vote for Trump simply because there wasn't enough good, solid evidence that he was going to be any good in the first place. Mm-hmm. But I can say that I'm happily surprised. And I mean, there's still some behavioral issues that I have an issue with, but it's not keeping him from doing good policy. Uh-huh. There are some things that are keeping him from being able to hold a decent cabinet, but that's also not entirely his fault. But I think there's when it comes to people who are like Trump zealots and the people that are like, we're happy with the results. type people. There's definitely people who just were like that. They want to be able to support the president without becoming an enemy with their neighbor.
Right.
And people are kind of fatigued at this point with it. Especially my generations. Like we're getting to the point where you're seeing articles on Vox or Salon.com saying, I broke up with my significant other because of Trump, or we're not having as much intimate relations now that we're not now that because of Trump. And it's like, you can't possibly be responsible for every little thing that you don't feel like you have an entitlement to. So at some point, when are you going to point the finger back at yourself and be like, maybe I'm the problem?
Yeah.
And so it's interesting what he gets blamed for when it has absolutely nothing to do with him, and what people choose to make him responsible for is really tiring, and I don't think it's going to last much longer. I don't know how long they think that they can keep it all up, but I think that audience is shrinking rapidly, and I don't know what they're going to do when they can't hype up people who don't like him.
You know, it's interesting because Trump derangement syndrome, I don't know if anybody else came up with that, but that's kind of what I feel like it is. I did vote for him, but I voted for him because I can't stand Hillary Clinton, and I did not want another Obama in the House. Okay, just saying.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because I believe wholeheartedly that Obama was an illegal president. He should never have been president. I don't think he's actually a citizen. I think his birth certificate was fake. There's just so much about this evil doer.
I don't necessarily agree with that per se, but it's like at the same time I feel like the Trump base.
Well, let me finish what I was going to say.
Yeah.
So I've had Dr. Jerome Corsi on the show numerous times, and Dr. Corsi uncovered a lot of stuff about Obama. And anyway, my only point in bringing that up is that even when he was in office, I did not see the derangement type syndrome coming from the right against that man. You know what I mean? I mean, as evil as he is, I didn't see the media flipping out because, conservatives hated Obama. But, I mean, I have friends who I play pickleball with who are Democrat. I asked on my Facebook not too long ago, please pray for the president. I put prayer focus, pray for the president of America. And I had some of my Democrat friends flip out. I mean, just flip out because I asked for a prayer, without even saying his name. And so, to me, that's just insane. I mean, it's just insane. But anyway, I just thought I'd share that.
I mean, to kind of go along with that point. I mean, because I do disagree with that point, whether or not he's a citizen. I mean, even his own brother, who was very vocal against him, has never said that. So I mean, it's for me to say that it's one-sided. I think is. I mean, it's easy to say when we've got the winning champ in the White House at the time. But I mean, the Tea Party was not as visceral as like Antifa is, even though they tried to frame them that way.
Right.
But to say that the verbiage wasn't as heated, I think is a minimalization of what some of the loudest people that the mainstream media decided to focus on while Obama was in office. But I would say the public dislike of the president is pretty equal on both sides. I think it's a pretty even pendulum swing when it comes to either of them.
Yeah, that's where I might disagree just a little.
Yeah.
but that's okay. I don't mind. See, that's why I'm glad you're here, because I want your perspective, especially as a younger person, with as much wisdom as you have, and you're awesome. That's why I have you on my show, just so you know. But okay, wait, let me read some comments that have come in from some of the people I want to say hi to. Joey Giggles is a very popular periscoper. He's not only came into Dr. Jennifer Fee's scope the other day, but now he's graced us with his presence. Thanks, Joey. Glad you're here. Go Yankees. Don't hate us, Philadelphia. Although I know Philadelphia had some problems last night. Just saying. Okay, anyway. So anyway, Joey says, let's see, where was it? Yes, it's a mental illness. Then Sean says, don't mess with the Clintons. And Joey says, it's a mental illness for sure. People screaming in the streets. And then Sean says, Molly Hemingway hated Trump at first and then did a 180. And then Joey says, the left has always been like that throughout history. They hated Andrew Jackson the same. And yeah, and it's interesting because the left today is socialist. It's not really democratic. In fact, I was talking to, who was I talking to? Oh, well, it was a friend of mine who's liberal. And he was like, yeah, this isn't, I'm a Democrat. Actually, it's a pickleball player. Yeah, that's okay. I'm trying to remember. Okay. Yeah. And he was saying, yeah, I'm very conservative fiscally, but I'm liberal. Like the old time Democrats of Kennedy's day, as opposed to the socialist Marxist time of our day, where you have, your generation wearing a communist on their t-shirt, not even knowing who the heck this guy is or what he did. I would never do that. Yeah, there's no question there. I just thought I'd end and shut up so you could respond in any way you want.
I do agree. I do think that the newest members of the Democrat caucus have culturally appropriated the word democracy. I don't think that's exactly what they think they want. And I don't think that they have a cultural understanding of what democracy actually is. And that means like when you're looking at the progression of what democracy turns into, democracy can very easily turn into socialism, socialism easily turns into communism. And where you have the idea where caring is sharing until you're stealing, and then it's not caring anymore. And I don't think that, well, number one, they're not being honest about their position when it comes to that. And it is hurting them more than they think, simply because, like I said before, it's like my generation, the one after, are starting to call them out on it. And they want to be entrepreneurs, they want to be their own boss. And they're also not interested in some glorified paper pusher telling them what to do and how much of their money that they get to keep. And it is tearing away the fundamental ideal of the American dream of being able to take care of yourself without someone else's help, whether it's your parents or your community. And again, being able to call your own shots and have your own thing. My generation wants it, but so does the next one. And I don't think that they acknowledge on a political scale that they're taking that away from the base that they say they want to represent.
Amen. All right. Hey, everybody. Don't you love Rosemary? Isn't she awesome? Give us applause if you do. Actually, you should put one in the chat box there over on Periscope if you love her and you want her to come back for sure, because I think she's awesome. All right, so let me kind of take a little quick segue here because we are a sponsored show. Arial Ministries is our wonderful sponsor. They've been so faithful in sponsoring Bible News Radio for 2 years now, which is so super cool. If you're not familiar with the ministry of Ariel, this is the ministry that Dr. Arnold Fruchtenbaum started many decades ago. I mean, probably 40, maybe even 50 years ago. He's in his 70s now. He's internationally known Messianic Bible teacher. And you can actually go to ariel.org and save 20% on anything there in the store whenever you go there and you buy some stuff. So use the coupon code Bible News. It's super easy because that's my show. And we have a brand new book too. It's called I'm going to get it. It's the Feasts and Fasts of Israel, which is so hard for me to say, people. Just so you know, it's super hard to say that, but you guys can get that. It's a new book by Dr. Fruchtenbaum. Passover is coming up pretty soon. Yeah, it is. And I hear that there's chocolate wafers these days. But anyway, aside from that.
Chocolate-covered matzah.
Yes, chocolate-covered matzah. Anyway, but you could learn about the Feasts and Fasts of Israel. Get that book. Get it for your collection. Make sure you study it, okay? And also they have Passover Haggadah over there as well. They have a whole bunch of different stuff on the Ariel website. Make sure you go there and you check it out. the other thing I gotta show you, if you have not been on my social media today, I was super excited because check this out, people. I have a will. You guys know I'm a member of Legal Shield, right? And Legal Shield is super awesome. This is my last will and testament of me, Stacy Lynn Harp. It is now official. You know, when you sign up for Legal Shield for $24.95 a month, you get a whole bunch of great benefits. But the biggest one is that you get a will. You can get a will done here. And I'm going to tell you something. Getting a will, it really kind of makes you think about your, what's the word I'm thinking of? Mortality. Yeah, there you go. And here's the other thing too. With the will, you also get an advance directive. This is an official legal document that they send with your will. And on the advance directive, it has all these questions on there. Like, you know, indicate your wishes for quality of life. Like, what if I die or what if I get hit in a accident or something and I end up in the hospital, you know? And so it gives all of this stuff to you, right? You know, it's about 70% of people don't have a will. We actually seen some very famous people die recently, you guys, who didn't have a stinking will. I mean, seriously, you need a will. If you're over 18, you need a will. For sure. So with Legal Shield, it only costs you $24.95 a month to get it, when wills can cost you a couple $1,000s, especially if you have a big family and you're married and stuff like that. It comes really cool. I mean, like I said, when Randall showed this to me, I was like, oh my gosh, it's official. It kind of looks like a casket if you think about it. Let me pull it back. It does kind of look like a casket. But here's the thing. I'm just going to be honest. If you die without a will, I mean, yes, you'll be fine if you're a Christian and you're going to heaven, but your family will go to probate hell, just so you know. And nobody wants to go to probate because probate is hell. Okay, it is, and you just don't want to go there. You don't want your loved one to be grieving over you and then having to deal with all that stuff. Okay, it can be a huge nightmare. So be nice to your family and get your will done. Okay? Good. And Joey is actually saying he's a member of Legal Shield and he's, you know, all that. So that's great. And so many of you joined already. And I would highly encourage you, if you haven't joined yet, to join. I talk about this all the time. I actually had a guy this morning at one of my networking groups actually sign up this morning because he's a young man. He's a millennial. He has his first baby on the way. And he told me, he said, Stacy, thank you so much. I needed to get a will together because I have a baby coming. I'm married. I'm buying a new house, you know. But even if you're single, you have no children, you need a will. At the very least, you need a will. And Legal Shield gives you so much more. You get unlimited access to a provider law firm. You get letters written on your behalf. You get, I mean, Randall and I have used them more than I thought, but also member perks. I shared, I think it was yesterday, I saved $86, I think it was, on a rental car for a week. I paid under $200 for a rental car for a whole week in California, okay? It was less than $25 a day. And I was actually talking to another friend who gets all these other types of perks, and she was telling me that her perks are out of the world. And I was like, well, what are your perks? Like, how much did you save on a rental car? Because everybody offers these, right? And she said, well, mine was $30 a day. So you multiply that 5 by 7, that's $35. Just saying. That's $35 that I saved more than that woman saved because I'm a Legal Shield member. So do yourself a favor, get signed up. I'm telling it because I love you, just so you know. I really do. And of course, ID Shield, we've talked a lot about that. I could do a whole show on identity theft. You need to get ID Shield too. For an individual, these services is like $35 a month. Most of you spend more of that on junk food, going out, eating at whatever, a couple times a month. The money, it's very well worth it. For a family, it's $49.90 a month. And that covers 8 kids and parents, 2 parents. Even if you're gay, 2 gay parents or 2 straight parents, doesn't matter. And the Legal Shield actually covers your whole family. Any kids 26 and under living at home or in college are actually covered under the Legal Shield, and 18 and under ID Shield, it's covered. Okay, so I mean, everybody's covered. Here's the other thing. If you need to make some extra money, I have personally the best leadership in Legal Shield. Terry and Zach and Vicky Fitch are my upline, and these guys know how to train you. They know how to motivate you. They offer free training for my team only. You'll get Vicky's book, Direct Selling 101. You'll get personal coaching from me, you know, and all the Legal Shield stuff, plus benefits. If you guys want to become a member and actually, you know, sell Legal Shield like I do and help protect people, it's only $99 to start, okay? And seriously, if you actually do the work, get off your butt and do work, and actually get out there and network and share it. The service sells itself. It really does. So just get in touch with me right there, bit.ly/LOJ 2019. You can, you know, get me directly, contact me through the website, or contact me through any of my social media, okay? Because this is an awesome company, and they just made it super easy to even level up. And you can literally make $400 in your first 20 days to 45 days if you actually do that, and make your investment back 3 times over if you actually get out there and do the work. So that's just my little plea there. And then last but not least, if you want to become a supporter, a pillar of the community for Bible News Radio, because you love what we do, then please go ahead and go to BibleNewsRadio.com/give and set up a recurring payment there on PayPal or your credit card, or you can cut a check like a couple of my viewers do, and have that come directly to us as well. All right, so there you have it, people. And believe me, that was nothing compared to K-Earth 101. When I was in California, I must have listened to 100 commercials in a 10-minute block. I'm like, K-Earth 101! Hey, they actually even had, I just have to say, the oldies station there cracked me up, because I'm like, oh my gosh, they're playing songs from when I was in high school. I am now officially in the oldies group. It used to be 50s and 60s was the oldies, and now it's the 70s, 80s, and 90s. They had this, Rosemary might have to do that. Ooh, okay. So Rosemary, when I was listening to K-Earth 101 when I was in California last week, one of the things that they had people do was call up, and they were saying, okay, for 10 seconds, in 10 seconds, we'll give you $100 each time you can say K-Earth 101 in a 10-second period. So people were calling up, you know, and they were like going, okay, ready, set, go. And then they would go, K-Earth 101, K-Earth 101, K-Earth 101. So I will give you a penny for each time you can say Bible News Radio in 10 seconds. Let's see if you can do it, okay? Ready? Okay, wait, we have to get a time clock. Wait, hold on. Okay, I'm going to go ahead.
Want me to put one up on the...
Do you have it? Wait, first, wait. Do you want to do this, Rosemary? I mean, you don't have to, but...
I mean, I would prefer not, but hey...
Okay, all right. We're just teasing you. You don't have to do it. But I did think it was funny that was, because I had not listened to radio in so long. I'm thinking, really? This is what they're getting people to call in for? Anyway, all right. So what else would you like to talk about?
Well, I mean, some of the other things that did occur at APAC was fascinating.
Oh yeah.
Israel just had their elections, and Benjamin Netanyahu is now the prime minister again for the 5th time. And the only other prime minister that has done that is Ben Gurion, which is awesome.
Oh, cool.
But it's like even his opposition. I mean, when it comes to dealing with terrorism in the area, the leadership almost would have done the exact same thing. The only big difference is that the religious community prefers Bibi. They just do, and that is to be said something very strong when it comes to Benjamin Netanyahu. Is he understands what the state of Israel is, and how integral the religion is to the area, even if it's not the only religion there.
Yes.
And the perception that Israel is partial to one religion over another is absolutely false. And even I feel like some Christian perceptions of there being extra persecution of Christian Arabs in the area is also extremely false. And I think that's something that needs to be corrected in the media. And even in the Christian community, I do still witness Christian organizations sympathizing to the point of the detriment of Arabs and Israeli Arabs in the area. And I don't see that being helpful to Israel in the future. But one of the other interesting things is with a lot of the anti-Semitic verbiage that's being used in the U.S. Congress right now with Representative Ilhan Omar. She did get a lot of admonishment from Democratic leadership. And the head of the Democrat caucus talks about how there's not just three main freshman people in the House of Representatives for the Democrat Party. He said like there are 64 and they all matter, not just those three. And he's of course talking about Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and Ilhan Omar and Rashid Tlaib, and trying to they're trying in some way it is posturing because they haven't seemed to be able to pull them off of their committee appointments, which is really still sad to see that they don't have the unction to fully act on what they think the Democratic Party should be in the House of Representatives. But on that same note, Nancy Pelosi, did her speech at APAC, and she did speak against the BDS movement, the boycott, divestment, and sanctions movement. And I was kind of surprised with her resistance to the completion of one of her thoughts. She talked about how the BDS movement is, or at least people that support it, do not believe in, she almost said, the existence of a Jewish state. She says exists, and then she kind of pulled back and said decided to say the self-determination of the Jewish people. And I found that still a hesitation for her to make a solid case within the Democratic Party. But again, like you've said before, it's like this socialist type of pandering that continues to happen in the Democratic Party is unfortunately decided to marry up with this anti-Semitic type of gesture, and it doesn't seem to be going away.
Nope.
And we'll have to see how with the next election when it comes to the House of Reps what they're planning to do with that. But
did you hear about
lackluster, still lacking, not 100% happy with that.
Yeah. Did you hear what New York's doing with the Jews there and vaccinations?
Well, this is I don't necessarily see that as anti-Semitic. I see a lot of rabbis. And it's not just the Jewish community, it's even the homeschooling community or any other type of religious group. When you have toddlers that are not even getting their MMRs, I think that's an issue when they're taking part in public government funded programs, especially school. I mean, if you have a child who has measles, I don't see why they should be around other children who are already vaccinated. But it is becoming a bigger issue. I don't think it's necessarily isolated to just the Jewish community. But again, it's that vaccinations are a whole nother thing. I can understand when someone doesn't want their children being vaccinated within a certain amount of time.
Yeah.
It's like, if you're going to do that, you also shouldn't be exposing other children to it. And minimizing that is better.
Yeah.
So, but if you're not going to vaccinate your kids, you probably shouldn't be taking part in other types of government funded programs.
Yeah.
You're
I
not
have
going to be happy with that, but
yeah, I have a friend who was telling me that and I'll probably have them on, but they were talking about how there's $1,000 fine if you don't vaccinate, and or possible jail time if you don't. Which makes to me which makes us a communist nation, because if you can go ahead and force vaccinations on people who don't want them, then you've lost your freedom. I mean, you're being penalized. You're going to jail and you're going to pay $1,000. I mean, that's not America like it used to be, like when I grew up.
Forcing it is not the answer. I mean, again, I think it's an educational issue when it comes to vaccinations. I think a lot of other types of fake news have kind of dripped into what vaccinations are, but it's, again, yes, forcing it on a particular community is not good. Mm-hmm. But I think being able to say you can't take part in certain types of government funded activities if you don't is fine. It's like, if you want to have a group of people have their own community somewhere else that they all don't want to vaccinate their kids, they need to be able to have their community elsewhere to do that. But again, forcing them is not the answer either.
I know. Amen. Okay, we need to get going because Bareface is like going, we got to wrap this up. Okay, so everybody, Rosemary Dewar. Yeah, it is. I nailed it. Anyway, she's been our guest. You guys love her. In fact, our Periscope audience likes you a lot, don't you? You guys want her to come back, don't you? Yeah, Joey's saying, I lived there in New York, and I'm living in socialism in New York City. I was born in New York State, upstate, and I'm so glad I don't live there. And Joey, who's on all the time talking about politics, said, you did a good job, Rosemary, just so you know. Oh. That's high praise coming from Joey. Joey giggles, yep. Anyway, tell everybody where they can read your articles, how they can follow you on Facebook and social media and all that stuff.
Absolutely. You can find my articles on Athens Now and also the Washington Examiner. You can find me on social media everywhere, on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, all at RLYNND1. And find me, hit me up, talk. Happy to answer any questions there.
Yep. Very cool. All right, everybody. Hey, you know what? This has been a great show. I think tomorrow's Friday, is it? I think it is, which means it is Free for All Friday. Yeah, it is. Right here on Bible News Radio, people. And I give you an opportunity to call in and say Bible News Radio. No, just kidding. If K-Earth 101 can do it, just saying, you guys should be able to do it. In fact, I tell you what, you can send me a recording of you saying Bible News Radio however many times in a 10-second block. And whoever gets the most, I will give an Amazon gift card to. I'll play them on the air. If you want. You don't have to. I mean, don't be a stick in the mud, but you can do it. Have fun with it. Okay? All right, everybody. I hope you have a good rest of your day. Remember, as I always say at the end of every show, be bold, people. Like Rosemary. Stand up, people. And go with God, because he loves you. We'll see you tomorrow.